Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning for me, and some of you were submitting things again at 12:10 a.m. and later, so you're probably still sleeping right now. It's 9:12 for me, and I wanted to say good job for those of you that worked on the Nature Collaborative slide. Sorry about the confusion in the beginning about which slide was which. I really thought you guys could figure that out without too much confusion, but maybe I was wrong, but that's okay. Thank you for participating. Really liked how that came out for those of you that did it. Uh, Learned a lot about some of the states myself that I did not know. And hopefully you'll take the time to look through other people's slides and what their states have. Some of them don't have hyperlinks on them. Like when you try to click on the picture, some of them didn't put hyperlinks on, either because they forgot or they couldn't figure out how to. But visually, you'll get a little idea how the state is. But hopefully they put a hyperlink in. So I highly encourage you to go to, if this is the second period one, hit present, and then go through the slides to see who else worked. This is West Virginia doesn't have any hyperlinks, nor did Virginia for second period. Delaware did not. Western Maryland did. Let me just see if this is the ski place. Yeah, Wisp. This is some place I saw this is here. At the top of this mountain, I was there. They were building a man-made kayaking course, like a rafting and kayaking course, like a man-made river. And they were building it at the top of the mountain. And I just happened to be passing through that area and stopped and saw this construction. And we stopped to see what it was, and that's what they were building up there. So, little side note, check out, on top of Wisp Mountain here, there's a man-made river where they do kayaking and rafting, which is kind of cool stuff. So, there's dogs in Western Maryland, dogs drinking wine. Lots of great things. So, check out your whole class, what they did in there. That was good. Moving on to today, I wanted to go over, you may have gotten a call last night and then an email from Mr. Mahalik, who is our superintendent, regarding moving forward with some live sessions. And I want to go over a few things with that. That's basically today's classes, going over some of the expectations and rules for the virtual classes, if you want to call it a class or a meeting or a get-together. First off, just like these sessions, they are voluntary. They are highly encouraged to keep you engaged with school and engaged with learning, but I can't make you tune into a live meeting. I can't make you do this work because it's up to you. And this is a lot like the regular classroom. I mean, when I get into the regular school, I mean, some of you try all the time and some of you don't try all the time, and I can't really make you do it. There's rules and stuff, but in reality, it's up to you. So this is the same thing. In reality, it's up to you how much you're going to participate, or maybe you can't. And we have some situations where people can't tune in all the time. They can't do the work all the time because parents are working, or there's only one device for 3-4 people. And that's understandable. That's why we're kind of going slowly with this online stuff, because we know there are people who just don't want to do it, and that's unfortunate, but there's people who do want to do it and they can't, or they can't do it as much as they want. So the same rules apply for the live meetups that we're going to have, that they are highly encouraged and important, but if you can't do it, I don't want you stressing over it, because you just can't, and that's understandable. What is going to be in these live sessions? It's not going to be like because not everyone can tune in and go to it. I'm not going to do a class that is exclusive to live. Like if you miss that live session, well, then you'll never know it. I may do some teaching, I might do some reviews, but if I do anything new, I will also make a video of it like this, and it'll be there for you to see and learn from whenever you can. So there won't be exclusive live material that if you can't get to it live, that you won't get otherwise. Now, if we're doing, let's say one of the first ones we're going to do is we're going to do live, we're going to review meiosis. There is meiosis material that I recorded and on our website, so you could learn it from there. If you can't do the live meetup that we're doing, well, then you're going to miss that review, but you're not missing the material. So that's the way we're going to have to work this, because I'm not going to do anything live that is exclusively live, and if you can't do the live thing, then you're going to miss that content. If I do content in the live broadcast, then I will also do a recorded version of that content so you don't miss it. Okay? So that's it. In general, it is voluntary like everything else. Super highly encouraged. And I'm encouraged. We got about 60% to half participating in 7th grade, which is a little low. I would hope more people, want to. Maybe those 45% or so can't, but when looking at the people that aren't doing it, I think they can, but then again, I don't want to assume anything. So start hopefully with the live presence that will encourage more participation, because maybe that's a little more your thing. Moving on, the big one right here in the middle here is that at no time will these video conferences be recorded. They will only be viewed by those directly involved in your students' education. Some of the reason this has been slow to to come out is once you start doing something like this, a live thing, there are state laws and federal laws regarding privacy that you cannot violate. If I was to do, let's say we set up a Zoom meeting for tomorrow, and we're all meeting in the Zoom and we're all talking, but I'm recording it and you don't know it, I'm breaking a law, because I'm inviting you to a session and of some kind, and I'm recording your image, your voice, your likeness without you knowing it, and that's breaking the law. It would be the same as if we met at a restaurant and I had a hidden camera, and not a restaurant, but let's see how I had a hidden camera and I recorded you, or someone snuck into your house and placed a camera in your kitchen and recorded you, in your family in your kitchen. It's basically the same thing. It's recording you without your consent. I can't do that. I won't do that. And that also applies to you. You cannot record the session. So I will have on my side the ability for my participants, which are you, to record the session turned off. But I've heard cases, and we've shared stories of someone who, was in a conference but then had their phone over here and was recording it. I don't know why you would want to do that, but that's what happened. You cannot record the broadcast in any way. I can't do it. And not because the administrator is telling me not to, it's because it's a state and federal law. So when you see these rules in this code of conduct, it's there to keep some semblance of control, just like in a classroom. But it's also there because they actually are connected to a real state law or federal law about recording someone's image or expectations of privacy. So you may think something is funny. You may think I'll do this, and this is a little bit maybe for some of my ninth graders that I have, and some of the older high school kids. You might have an idea and you might think it's funny, but the reason it's in this code of conduct is because there's actually a law somewhere that this is safeguarding me and you from getting in trouble again. So as long as you follow the code of conduct, you'll be fine. Okay. So this first page is just basically is about, we're asking to read this, but it's basically asking for your participations. You don't have to do it, but if you are, one of the things it will not be recorded, and you cannot record it. There's lots of state and federal laws against recording things. Okay, so the meat of it here, guidelines for student participation. Abide by the school district's current acceptable use. So we have acceptable uses for technology. When we are doing a live session, it's kind of like if we're counting these as school days we don't have to make up. Then if we're saying it's a school day, then we have to abide by school policy. So I can't do anything inappropriate with the computer or connection or this time we set up, just like our time of second period. I can't be inappropriate. You can't be inappropriate. I have to use things correctly. So do you. So just keep that in mind. Number 2, school appropriate dress is required. Well, I am not dressed how I am for school. You don't see me in a hoodie for school, but you could. So this is appropriate. I would usually wear something a little bit nicer, and you might wear in a hoodie and shorts and that too. Think about what you are wearing and school appropriate dress. I do not want to come to a Zoom meeting and see you in your pajamas. I do not want to see that. And make sure your clothes are appropriate. And appropriate might be just like you would for school. Okay? I don't think I need to go into details. You don't have to get dressed up. But we want to be dressed like we are for school because it gives a level of comfort to those that we're looking at, who we're looking at, what they're looking at. We have to think of the group here. So appropriate. Polite and appropriate language, that would make sense. As far goes is we'll get into speaking and trying to have control of the live session in a minute, but keep everything appropriate. If your mic is unmuted, if I unmute you, you want to say things that are appropriate. All right. Please attempt to keep all background noise and distractions to a minimum. If you're in a location where you cannot avoid background noise, we ask that you mute your device and listen until you can speak. If possible, sit with your back to a blank wall. So if you've watched the news, you've seen lots of people doing Zoom conferences, and you see behind them they have a bookcase and they have all this, they're trying to portray some sort of image, or they're in their kitchen or whatever. I have built myself a little studio here, so I don't run the risk of someone behind me, my wife on the phone talking to her friend, saying something, that's not school appropriate, not inappropriate general, but school inappropriate, or my son walking by talking to one of his friends saying something appropriate. So if you don't have somewhere isolated like this, think about where you could be, where you're just going to reduce the chance of background noise, your brother's video game, your sister playing with something, your mom or dad talking on the phone, or the TV really loud. Now, if you can't avoid that, that's okay. We'll have your mic muted and we won't pick that up. But if we unmute your mic for you to talk and you have a lot of background noise, it might be difficult. Some of your folks might say, no, you can't take the computer to your room. I want you to do it right here at the table. That's fine. They're in charge. It's your house. But then say, well, could you make sure what's behind me? Look at the camera, see what's behind you. We don't want to be sitting at the kitchen table and behind you. It would be distracting if your mom or dad or someone's doing the dishes behind you and doing whatever. So just keep the background. Think of what's behind you. If you're familiar with Zoom, sometimes what you'll see is people change their background. You could do a virtual background. That's going to be turned off for you because you might put a pony behind you and someone else puts something, someone's shooting someone behind them. So I'm not going to have, as a school district, we're not going to have any virtual backgrounds because we don't know. I just want to make sure I'm still recording here. Yes, I am. What you're going to put as your background. So it'll just be your house. So think about what's behind you. Let's see. Sit back. Parents are encouraged to support their virtual presence. Parent participation is not permitted. So this is an interesting little, sort of like I said, rule that borders on law. We're setting up. I'm agreeing to a virtual session here. So that's our assumed agreed upon privacy. I cannot then have someone just join me here. It would be like someone me just bring someone into the classroom. I can't do that. You can't decide like, well, I'm going to have my little sister or little brother sit here with me. You can't. Or even your parents. If your parents have a question or a comment, they can email me, but they can't like join our virtual meeting because they weren't agreed to be part of it. They weren't, as far as I sent the invitation to you, you agreed to come to it, and we're assuming that's the only thing that's going to be in. I know it seems strange, but like I said, there's just laws that when you talk about cameras and in people's homes and privacy, the only people that can be in the meeting is the people that everyone assumes is going to be there, and that is me and the class. So I can't have anyone in it. You can't have anyone in it. So parents can be in the room off camera listening the whole time. That's perfectly fine. They can't say anything to the class, and they can't be videoed in it. Speak in a controlled manner. We don't need anybody yelling into microphones. You do not record, do not take screenshots. You must have legal consent from all parties in the state of Pennsylvania to record a meeting. So that just goes back to the fact that you can't record in any way the sound or the images that are on there. You may have even seen maybe on TV, a TV show or something where they're filming outside, but some of the people's faces are blurred. So that is because of rules like this. If I'm out on the street or in a restaurant and someone's filming a reality show, they have to get my permission, even if I'm just in the background, to be in that shot. If I don't give permission, then they have to blur my face. If they're recording something outside, there's ways around it where you can put up big signs that said, warning, if you are in this area, there is filming going on, your image may be captured for distribution and use and all this stuff. If you enter this area, then you consent by entering the area to have your image recorded. If they don't have a sign up like that, they have to get your permission to use your image. And if you don't do that, you would see like on a TV show or something maybe, the images are blocked. Their faces are blurred out. So do not record anything. Right? Inappropriate behavior in virtual class will be handled according to the school's discipline policy. So because this is a school day and this is a school session, it will be handled just the same. You do something inappropriate, believe it or not, you would be subject to the school discipline policy. Now, does that mean they could give you detention? No, but if someone does something really serious, and then there could be some discipline involved, it could happen. If anything happens inappropriately, as the host of the Zoom meeting, I can just kick you out of the meeting. I can mute you. I can kick you out of the meeting, and you can't get back in. So don't do anything inappropriate. Also, you can join the meeting without the video, and you can just listen. You can listen to the live session, but not have your camera on. When you join, it'll give you an option. You could join with video or join without video. If you join without video, you can hear everything. If you wanted to, if I unmuted you, you could speak, but there would just be no video. You can change your mind. You can have the video off. You can join with the video and then turn the video off. And then if you wanted, you can turn it back on. So let's say I'm you and I'm here, and my mom's coming over to ask me a question, and I say no, but she's coming over. I can shut the video off. She can come over, and your mic is muted, ask me a question, go away. So you do have some control over turning your video on and off, or you can decide to join without having your video on at all. If you feel as if you cannot control your environment, your dogs, your brothers, your sisters, your bird, whatever, join without the video, and you can listen to the live conversations of everyone, but you won't have to run the risk of something happening. Also, when you join, so I'm making sure I have the right people joining me, I'm going to send you an invitation. It'll be in the Google Classroom. You'll join. You'll be what's called in a virtual waiting room, and I'll see Lauren Lannister's waiting to join. I'll admit you, come in. Robert Morgus is waiting to join the meeting. I'll admit you. So there might be a minute or two delay as I get everybody in. You also, I need to know who you are. So I will give you the code, and then you have to put in your name. You have to type your name, who you are, to join the meeting, to name yourself. You want you to do your first name and your last name. Don't say Tom, okay, because that might be someone who got somehow, for some reason, you left your screen open, someone got, and this has happened, someone got the link, they sent it to their friend, and all of a sudden now we have a random stranger joining our group, okay, because it just says Tom, and I don't know who that is. So when you sign in, it's going to ask for your name. Just put in your first name and your last name. If you don't do that and you join, it may just give me the name of your device, like iPhone, Samsung 7, PC. And in the waiting room, I'm just going to see Samsung phone. I'm not going to submit Samsung phone. I'm going to submit only if I allow someone in who I see their name so I know who they're getting. So when you're joining, I believe it gives you it says put the name in, put your name in, who you are, so I know first and last name who's joining the meeting. Okay. Only accept invitations for meetings. All right. Because crises bring out the good and bad in people. A lot of good things has happened, but people have been scamming people. People have been trying to, sell masks and hand sanitizer at, 5-6 times the normal price. All kind of things that aren't good. One thing that's happened is people have been inviting people to Zoom meetings because they're on so many and they're taking them, and then they get to some meeting and it's something inappropriate. So just be careful that you will see you're going to get a Zoom meeting in your Google Classroom from me. It's safe. This says something about don't create your own meetings. Well, I don't know. You're not supposed to. I think for Zoom you have to be 18 or to create your Zoom. But I know people got there and they make accounts on things, but just be careful about creating your own meetings if you are going to do that, because you may not realize there's a lot of laws that are involved with the camera stuff. You do not need to put your camera on if you don't want to do so. Okay. So we are going to be using Zoom, not Google Meet. Google Meet is a little simpler to use, but the problem is it doesn't have a lot of the safeguards in here that I can control. Zoom has a lot more safeguards, so that's the one we're going to use. We're going to give this a test try tomorrow. Not for class stuff. That's going to be starting next week. What we're going to do tomorrow is just try out the technology. Get in, give it a try, do it once before we do, real stuff. So look for tomorrow a Zoom meeting link and a time for your class. Okay, and they're going to be short. It's just going to be a few minutes for us to see if it works. I look at you. I say, that's a good spot. If you have questions about just how the technology works, give it a rough, a quick run through once before we're worried about actual school stuff. We'll do one just as a test. Okay. All right. This ended up being a long video, but I think it needed to be. So go over this code of conduct, read it, make sure you understand it, make sure your folks understand it at home. So if you're telling them to get away, no, do this, or I have to be here, they understand why. So go over this with your folks so that we all understand. If you have any questions about the live meetups that we're doing here, give me an email, reach out to me in the Google Classroom, and I'll put this video in our Google Classroom today. All right, everybody. Bye.